Okay, so I just beat Fallen Dynasty's first boss, and I wanted to talk about my initial impressions for the game. So, originally, I really didn't know much about the game. I haven't really looked anything up or, seen anything. I didn't even know who was developing the game. And I was surprised to see that it was Koei Tecmo who, worked on Neo previously. And the game certainly feels very similar to Neo. The combat is much easier to understand, and also I find it personally a lot more satisfying than Neo's combat because of that. Um, it has a very satisfying parrying and dodging system. Your dodge basically functions as a parry, and you can double press the dodge button to do an actual dodge. And you also have the ability to guard attacks, which I didn't really use too much because parrying seems to just be far superior. But overall, the combat is really fun. It's easily, I think, on par with Sekiro's combat. One of the things that is going to be, I don't know, one of the deciding factors for the game is going to be the level design and the boss design. If it can compete with Sekiro in both of those aspects, then I think this is going to be another fantastic game. But if it falls short on a few aspects, obviously that's going to ruin its overall perception. But in general, I'm looking forward to the game's release and seeing, how it plays. I didn't run into too many technical problems with the demo on Steam, so I was pretty excited about that. I was very worried about that, given, a lot of games' recent releases, where they have technical issues, so I was worried about that, but thankfully there weren't too many issues, just, few frame drops and stuttering here and there, but nothing too major. But I think the game is pretty good. It's very fun, and the only thing that I have a problem with is it's a bit too similar to Neo. The style is, almost identical, given it's based on Chinese mythology this time around, so the enemy design is a little bit different, but in general it's still kind of the same. The character creator is also, basically identical to Neo's and also Wild Hearts, because it's, the same company that made those games. So, there are differences, of course, but just in general, the overall, layout of the menus and everything is basically the same. And also, this game carries over a lot of things from Neo as well. So, just in general, they're very similar to one another, but I think already the combat is shaping up to be a lot better, personally. The only thing that I'm really worried about with this game is because it also carries over the equipment system from, not Sekiro, Neo, where, the weapons and armor that you pick up have, different stats, right? So you can get, the same weapon, but it's just, does more damage, basically. They also have, different skills that are applied to the weapons, and so you can get the same weapon, but with a different skill and, more damage. And so, as long as the pacing is good, and the game just allows you to get equipment that's better by just sticking to, the main storyline of the game, and, if you don't have to do as much side content as in Neo, because that was one of my main issues, was I felt required to go and do side missions in order to get better equipment to find, the main story missions manageable. And so I hope that that's not the case with this game, because it's also going to be probably just as linear as Neo when it comes to its level design, which is kind of a shame. I wish they would branch out a bit and expand the levels and, treat them a bit more like the legacy dungeons in Elden Ring, for instance, where they're a bit more open-ended in how you approach them. But the first area alone is very reminiscent of Neo, and that kind of worries me because I feel like it'll be a bit too samey in the long run. but hopefully that's not the case, and hopefully they manage to diversify the levels enough, and hopefully they manage to do a good job with giving you equipment of the appropriate level to help you just progress smoothly through the game without the need to do a lot of side missions and kind of just I don't know, wallow in the fringes of the game, I suppose, because that was one of the things that made me stop playing Neo 2, was the fact that, you know, I would get like 1 or 2 shot by regular enemies, and I was like, okay, well, clearly I'm not supposed to be here, but I also don't want to just keep doing the same side missions over and over again, you know, so I can progress. So I just kind of stopped playing, even though Neo 2's combat was really fun. It's just the equipment and the weapons and trying to get, like, you know, equipment with good skills and good stats, all that stuff was just very kind of frustrating, and it kind of, for me, hindered the actual enjoyment of the game. And so hopefully they've toned those kind of elements down a bit for this. But anyways, that's pretty much everything I wanted to say.